What's going on, YouTube? Thank you guys so much for being here. I got the Facebook, I got the YouTube. The story of the day is the Fauci emails were released, and we're going to talk about why they were released and what's going on there. I got some of the biggest bombshells that I've seen. Let me know what you think in the comment section, but we'll go through them. And a lot of this stuff I feel like we already knew. Although, will this do something else? I'm not sure. We'll find out. That's the story of the day. So before we get started, real quick, as people are coming in, I just want to say this is David Dorn right here. And a year ago today, so it's been a year, he was murdered during the riots in St. Louis. This guy's a 77-year-old police captain who was just trying to help his community. And he went to a pawn shop that was burglarized, however you say it. And he was murdered at 77 years old, a retired police captain. So rest in peace, David Dorn. And I just wanted to take a second to say, people like David, I feel like make the country a better place. And people like him, it doesn't matter his ethnicity right now, but, you have the glorification of people that are burning down restaurants and neighborhoods. And whether you live in a black area, a white area, Hispanic area, it doesn't matter. If you're an American citizen, nobody wants to live in an unsafe community. I mean, if you do, you're crazy, but a lot of us don't. So it's people like David, who go out of his way to just help someone out when he doesn't even have to for his profession. And he gets murdered and no one cares about it because the media is very wicked, in my opinion. They glorify, street music where, listen, I'm a rapper. I've been around rappers, all different kinds. It's all love for me. I get it. I like some ignorant rap myself. But, every week a rapper's getting shot, every single week. And you never hear about it because they glorify that type of behavior. They glorify that type of lifestyle. Doesn't matter if 1,000 kids die in the street, 10,000 black kids, they never will talk about it. So somebody like David Dorn, not all police are good, not all police are bad. I feel like this is a really great guy. And if this type of mentality was pumped into the American minds, our country would be a better place. And instead, we have just degeneracy and this idea that it's okay and normal to destroy your own neighborhood, to, a vigilante of somebody's death, where, the guy who actually protects the community and defends it, all of a sudden doesn't get to be as big of a story. So I just want to start with that because it's been a year since he passed away or he got murdered. And the story of the day is the Fauci emails. And I just want to explain real quick why they were released, because there was no hack. A lot of people probably don't know. Thank you so much, Boxer Tales. He said, God bless you, Anomaly. I love my hat. Thank you so much, dreamrare.com or godblesshats.com. I'm glad you like them. They are good quality. I'm not trying to sell trash out here, so you already know. But there wasn't a leak or a hack or whatever. It's called the Freedom of Information Act. And I don't know exactly how it works, but we have what's called the Freedom of Information Act. And there's certain ways where certain emails, certain files, certain historical, documents can be I don't know if redacted is the right word. That's not publicized, and they made public. So that's what the Freedom of Information Act is. And I'm not quite sure why his emails were under that, but I do like the Freedom of Information Act. People like, what is their name? Judicial Watch. They're always suing the government and getting these stuff out. But this one, I'm not sure how it got out, but according to my sources, it says that BuzzFeed News obtained more than 3,200 pages of emails, and the Washington Post received more than 860 pages, some of which are available to read. So, I guess BuzzFeed has over 3,200 pages. It's impossible to read them all. I didn't even try, to be quite honest, because it's so many pages of emails and I don't have that time. It's hard enough for me to read a book with 500 pages, let alone 3,000 of this guy's emails. So just before we started out, I don't know that a lot of people are making this clear. There was no hack. There was no leak. It was the Freedom of Information Act, and it brought this to light for one reason or another. Now I want to talk about, is it a bombshell or are there any bombshells? A lot of this stuff, I think it's good that it came out because it seems like now the mainstream media, a lot of conservatives, there's more of a push and, questions that are being able to question. But for instance, one of the things that it says in the email, I'm going to try to see if I can find it. But it looks like basically he's talking about masks and how they don't really work because how big the virus is. It's smaller than the mask. A lot of people use the example of like it's trying to stop a mosquito with a chain link fence, and he pretty much says that in other words, but basically says, it could do droplets or whatever, but it's not really providing full protection. On one hand, now this is going to be talked about a lot, especially in conservative media. On the other hand, Dr. Anthony Fauci said this publicly. He said it on television. I think it was CBS or ABC. He said this early in the pandemic. He said, at the height of a pandemic, it doesn't make sense to wear masks. So he flip-flopped on masks. And here's the only thing I'm going to say, because Fauci himself went on television today and basically was defending himself against the emails. And he said something, I wrote it down just so I didn't mess it up. He said something along the lines of like, it's okay for him to change his mind and flip-flop because, science is a self-correcting process. So, it's okay for Fauci to switch his mind because that's what science is. It's just changing, evolving, learning, switching. And on one hand, I completely agree with him. That's what science is. There is no settled science. The science is settled as a political propaganda term to say, we're going to do this and you can't dare question us. Water is good for the human body, but even that could be questioned. I mean, it probably shouldn't be, but overall, everything could be questioned. There are some like constants that I think everybody agrees on, but this idea that climate change or COVID-19 or the lockdowns or masks is settled science and you can't dare question the cons, even though they're obvious, this is insane. So all I'm asking from Fauci, from Facebook, from YouTube, from Twitter, from all of these big tech companies who have been in on it the whole time, I agree that Dr. Anthony Fauci should have the ability to change his decision based on new evidence, but why do we not get that same right? Why do doctors who disagree with him not get this? There's multiple Nobel Prize winners who have done more in the lab than Dr. Anthony Fauci could ever dream of. He's more of like a political bureaucrat than a scientist at this point, but there's credible scientists that are even more credible than myself and Anthony Fauci. How come they don't get the opinion? How come they're not allowed to tell the truth in March, but Anthony Fauci could change his mind 5 different times? It's like, I agree that science changes, but it's funny how science changes for Fauci, but for other doctors who disagree, it's settled. Science is settled. When Fauci says it, you have to agree with him, even though he doesn't agree with himself 2 months ago. But when he doesn't agree with himself 2 months ago, he's just changing his mind because that's what science is for him, not for you. The hypocrisy and the double standards is just so apparent, and it's not fair. On that hand, with the masks, I've been saying this for a year. I get censored and I get fact checked for showing the video of what Dr. Anthony Fauci used to say about masks. And I don't know what his opinion is now. Is it the email? Is it what he said? I don't know. The guy speaks out of both sides of his mouth. However, my question about the changing of the science, I agree that science evolves, you learn, you grow, you get new information. What changed about masks? That's my question for you. That's my question for Anthony Fauci. If I was a White House, reporter, this is the question I would ask. What changed about the science of masks? Because for 3 months, they said, even in the height of a pandemic, you shouldn't be walking around wearing a mask. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't really work that well. And then they said, you should be walking around wearing a mask. You should wear a medical mask. And then they said, you should wear a cloth. And then after like a year or 6-7 months, they said, now you should wear 2 masks. My question is, when it comes to viruses, when it comes to COVID-19, when it comes to the science of breathing, when it comes to the science of droplets coming out of your mouth, when it comes to the science of how wide masks are, how thick they are, what material they're made of, my question to Dr. Anthony Fauci is, what changed about the science of breathing? What changed about the science of masks? Nothing changed. He changed his opinion based on what I would consider no new information. If 2 masks made more sense in March, why wouldn't it make sense in June? What changed from June to January? What revelating information about the science of how big and long and thick they are changed? I mean, if really 2 masks made more sense than 1, don't you think they could just make a 2-in-1 mask? It's like saying, put 2 helmets on your head. You want to be a safe biker? Put 2 helmets on your head. Why not just put 1 helmet on your head and make that helmet thicker or bigger so it's like 2-in-1? Wouldn't that make sense? Oh, of course, that's real science. That's real innovation. You don't put 2 masks on your face. If 2 masks make sense, there's a thickness and there's a width and there's a tightness that goes around it. And this is why, just to be quite fair, when you see the people in the Wuhan lab, they're not wearing 2 masks. They're not wearing 1. They're wearing a full spaceman suit. They look like Buzz Aldrin pretending to go to the moon because, it's a real virus. They're protecting themselves from all airflow. So what changed about 2 masks? Someone said 2 condoms. Yeah, the same thing. It's like, first of all, they rub off each other with the condoms. But anyway, it's like, if that made sense, you would just make 1 and 2. No one asks him this question because he is now a deity of the left. You can't question this guy. He is the all-knowing God. He says this, he says that, agree with this, don't agree with that, flip-flop. He's allowed to flip-flop, but you can't question the flip-flop. You're not allowed. So, the scam is not even the emails and what's in it. The scam is the fact that they're allowed to flip-flop, but when they flip-flop, you're not allowed to be right. When I was right in March about the death rate, I was, facing penalties, or I was facing, you better not say that because the World Health Organization said it's a 3.4. I knew it wasn't a 3.4 death rate. These people have an agenda and they don't even do basic math that a third grader could do. And then you move to the masks. It's like, how could you agree with someone who doesn't agree with themselves? So before we move on, that's the point I'm trying to make. There are multiple Nobel Prize winners, scientists, virologists, doctors, epidemiologists, all sorts, who disagree respectfully with Dr. Anthony Fauci, but their videos are getting deleted and abolished off the internet because it's like you can't disagree with him, even though his excuse for when he disagrees with himself is that science changes. He's right that science changes. It doesn't settle, especially with the mask. And I'm sorry, I'm going on a little rant, but what really bothered me even more was the fact that, okay, let's say there's all these pros to the mask. Okay. Can we talk about the cons? Are we allowed to talk about the cons? Because there are cons to lockdowns. There are cons when it comes to people's weight. There are cons when it comes to people's mental health. There's economic cons. There's exercise cons. There's schedule cons. There's motivation cons. There's all sorts of cons to shutting down travel and shutting down business. Are we allowed to talk about them? There are cons to masks. There's, psychological cons. There's physical cons. There's studied cons that have scientific explanations for why. Okay, there's some good, there's some bad. Are we allowed to weigh it out? That's real science. It's not just saying I could shut the world down and that's really, really good and you're not even allowed to question it. Of course, it could affect the food chain. Of course, it could affect economies. Of course, it could destroy multiple islands around the world that might never recover from what they've lost from, the leisure and travel industry. So are we allowed to talk about? No, they don't allow you to say any of this stuff. So it's been a scam since the beginning, not because everything is a lie, but because they're allowed to flip-flop. They're allowed to be wrong. They're allowed to hurt you. They're allowed to destroy 100,000 restaurants, but the billionaires are getting richer, but the tech companies are getting richer. Moderna and Pfizer are doing well. People who invested in them are doing a fortune. They're just crushing it because they're forcing people to get their products. So it's not that Fauci is not allowed to be wrong. It's that Facebook, Google, mainstream media, and all these tech companies should be ashamed of themselves for censoring people who are trying to tell the truth about what they're now telling the truth about a year ago. That's the big scam. This has been a total censored nonsense. And when it comes to masks, before I move on and we'll get to the emails, say you weigh out the pros and the cons. Here's one thing, regardless of the science of the masks, that it's really done. It's provided what I would say an abusive relationship where you can't see someone's face. You can't see someone's smile. You don't want to wear it for 8 hours a day. This is unprecedented that people are forced to wear masks against their will for 8 hours a day when they're working. And now that they have a product that, Dr. Anthony Fauci sits on the board, I have it right here. And this isn't from the emails, but I said this last year. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying he sits on Bill Gates's global health leaders vaccine collaboration board with the Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Margaret Chan, and Mr. Anthony Lake, Executive Director from UNICEF, and all these bigwigs around the world. So it's like when Bill Gates is invested in Moderna, when Trump buys 100 million doses of Pfizer and Moderna, is that how politics works now? There's no such thing as lobbying. There's no such thing as power and money. I'm supposed to forget World War I and World War II, like the human story is just all of us dancing and holding hands and no one would ever have other incentives. That's never how politics has worked. That's never how the health industry's worked. So the fact that we weren't allowed to say or question these things was not because it wasn't true. It's because it was true and they just don't want you to talk about it. So anyway, with the masks, it's like now you're faced with the option, leave it on your face, which is an abusive thing. I mean, who wants to cover their mouth and their smile? Most people don't. Some do, most don't. Well, now if you get our new product, you could take it off. Isn't that nice? You could stop being abused by the federal government and the corporate class if you go get the injection, which, they want. So I feel like that was a big motivation for that because the science of masks, the science of width and length and tightness and cloth products and the science of human breathing, I don't think it changed drastically over the last year. I think they changed their decisions because I don't think these people are basing what they're doing on science and health the same reason why America is a very, obese and pilled out country. A lot of people are popping pills. When you have, diabetes, I'm going to air an interview later, they're taking 4 or 5 pills. And it's like, what about telling them to lose weight and work out? I mean, of course, pills can help you at some point. Don't get me wrong. I'm no medical advisor, but obesity has a huge link to the COVID deaths and the COVID hospitalizations. If you're mandating anything, if you mandated workouts, you could have saved more lives. That's real science. That's health science. Talk about mandating workouts for a week. If you're going to mandate a shutdown, you can mandate a workout, but mandating a workout doesn't drive profits to the industries that they're in bed with. So they don't care how many lives it saves. They have an agenda, and that's what's going on. So moving on to the emails, this is Yahoo. I'm just going to quote the news so they don't freak out and cry. But this is Yahoo News quoting National Review. It says, Fauci brushed off experts' email on Chinese COVID disinformation. It was too long for me to read, I guess he said. In some ways, I kind of sympathize with him here because I don't like to read emails. And, if someone sends me a long email, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to read that. I'm no Anthony Fauci, but I think that's kind of funny. Some people probably won't laugh so much, but I guess he got an email from a Chinese COVID disinformation. He's like, yeah, I'm not reading that. That's too long. Well, I wonder if hopefully it wasn't too helpful. Newsweek reported on 5 big revelations. They said Fauci offered a support to a Chinese health official. Interesting. It said experts worried that COVID-19 could look engineered. And, if you're into virology, I'm not, but there's Nobel Prize winners and there's very, very smart, way smarter than me scientists who have explained why this does look engineered because they can look at the sequence of it. This has been said by Luc Montagnier. I guess he won a Nobel Prize for discovering HIV. This happened with the Chinese lady who left China because she was afraid for her life from, going against communist China. This was proven so many times, or at least this was brought to the table to say, is it or is it not? And they covered it up for years. So as Fauci's on television, telling people that there's no way that it could have came from a lab, he has emails early on saying that it did potentially look engineered. So he knew that that was a possibility, but he also knew that, it's not a good idea if people found out that it could be. How come he changed his mind from then when he got the email to when he told us in April and May that it's probably not, to now saying that he's not ruling it out? Because, the truth always comes to light eventually. And I think, this situation, it seems like it's too big to keep undercover for long. And the more people that start saying it, it seems like it's going to come out eventually. I mean, ex-CDC director under Trump, Robert Redfield, he said that he thinks that the virus was man-made. So if you say it in March, you get censored. But when the ex-CDC director, that's not a small position. That's one of the biggest positions in the world, not just in the country, in the world, when it comes to global health. The CDC really runs the show. The CDC director said, the ex-director said that he thinks it's man-made. So Fauci acted like he didn't think it could be a possibility. I think that's one of the bombshell emails, that he had information early on that it could have been. And when it's all said and done, I'm no virologist, I'm no scientist. I think that there's a high chance of that because I've listened to both sides of the argument. I'm not a dumb person. I'm not just a sycophant. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've listened to both sides of the argument. And this side said, here's why I think the genome is engineered. I could see where it's copy and pasted from other viruses. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. Here's what I think. I've heard all the theories on the, on that side. And then I listened to the media and the Fauci's, and they never really fully explained for why it wasn't. They just said, it came from a wet market in, a bat. And they're like, we don't know though. We're not for sure. And then you're like, what about this theory? And they're like, oh, no, don't look there. Don't say. So you could kind of tell the truth just based on how people respond. It's not that I blindly believe someone who says it's man-made, but at the same time, when you're asking people why it isn't, they never really gave a good answer. They never had any proof. They never had any good information. So to me, it's clear. It's like when you hear two people who are arguing, you listen to her side, you listen to his side, you could kind of put the story together because it's like this guy's saying this, she's saying this, but then I'm listening to this guy and I'm like, bro, your story doesn't even sound good, even in your own words. So if that's what's happening in your own words, I feel like God knows what really happened. But anyway, that was a big one. Fauci saying that store-bought masks are not really effective, which he said on television, which you then were not allowed to agree with. So, I mean, there's so much stuff in here. People are saying he met with Bill Gates all the time. This is just obvious stuff. So on one hand, I think it's important because, now people are going to scrutinize it. Apparently They're not going to put his book out in certain cases. I don't want to speak on it too early, but it seems like it's providing a lot of trouble for Fauci. So on one hand, I think it's going to make a lot of people more skeptical, and the media is going to jump on the story. On another hand, I mean, all this stuff was kind of known. And when you look at what's going on, it's just like one big family. When it comes to the World Health Organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the CDC, the WHO, or the United Nations, which is the WHO, who are also doing climate change under this group. And these people hang out, they meet, there's billions of dollars going into it. Bill Gates is invested into this. He's invested into The Guardian. He's invested into this. He's invested into this. He's invested into Impossible Burger. He's buying up farmland. I mean, these people are playing chess. They're not playing checkers. No disrespect to them, but it's like, oh, yeah, we're going to shut down. And there's no, come on, guys, you got to be a moron. I'm not trying to be rude, but if you think that billionaires and global leaders, whether it's Russia, China, America, whoever you want to blame, Trump, Biden, I don't care who you think, no one's going to try to take advantage of this. The pharmacy industry, who time and time again, look into the history of Johnson & Johnson, look into the history of Pfizer, look into what they've settled out of in court and what they've been accused of. Look at the history of Bayer, whether it's their HIV pill or if you go far back enough to World War II. And now they've merged with Monsanto, who has their own very shocking history. So it's like, it's not a theory to look at these companies and look at the country and look at the leaders and be like, yeah, they're playing chess. They've been knowing this. Facebook is connected with this person. You got Zuckerberg Chan Initiative. They're doing the vaccines. These people, it's like, okay, I love that you guys are trying to help people, but I know you're not trying to help people, because even if the vaccine is going to save all these lives, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is. It's beyond me. We'll see when the data comes in a few years, but I'm just saying, like, the fact that you're locking down gyms, locking people in their houses, and not even concerned with obesity, suicides, opioid, fentanyl, all these things. Like, if you Google, why is life expectancy going backwards? It used to go up because everybody was getting better, and then it got worse. Why is it getting worse? Because of drug overdoses. Are they all illegal drugs? Now, some of them are legal drugs. Why are people overdosing on them? Because they're being handed them by their doctor in some cases. Like, I have a story coming out later. This guy said it was me that he listened to that inspired him to start working out and losing weight, and his diabetes almost disappeared. He was like, Anomaly, you changed my life because you were saying all this stuff during the pandemic, and I decided to work out and eat better. And he said his diabetes number went from here to non-existent. Meanwhile, he said they were on 5 pills. He just showed me an Instagram picture of it. They had him on all these pills. And it's like, at a certain point, it's like, yeah, maybe a pill or two might help you, but 5 pills, 4 pills, and this kid works out, stops taking the pills, and becomes healthier. I'm not telling anybody to do or not do anything. I'm not a medical advisor. I'm just saying that was his testament. He was like, working out and exercising did more for me than any pill that they've ever given me. And I think that's the case in a lot of cases, not everything. I'm not telling people to do that. I'm just saying, I mean, obesity doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be as widespread. And overdoses don't have to be as widespread, and fentanyl doesn't have to be as widespread. But the CDC, the World Health Organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the government, I don't think they have that much to gain for deep diving into it. So they'd rather figure out a way that they can make more money, they could prosper, they could buy out farmland, they could do this, and then they could sell or force or hold you for ransom over a product and take away everything in your life and tell you, if you get that product, you could take your mask off. If you get that product, you can go back to the gym. If you take that product, you could travel. Oh, you want to go to Coachella with your friends? Of course you do. I psychologically abused you for a year. Put you in your house, took away all your freedom, took away your school, took away your activities, took away your parties, took away your concerts. And now I'll give you your concert back if you go get my injection. Oh, what do you know? Stockholders are up. We got 8 new or 7 new billionaires in the pharmacy industry. What a coincidence. Oh my gosh. It's like, oh my God, what a conspiracy theorist for reading mainstream news. I mean, why would you ever think that they would do that? It's like, are people really this dumb? I'm not sure, but overall, I'm going to stay for a few minutes. I'm going to read some comments. It looks like they're coming up on Facebook finally. And, the emails, on one hand, it's a big thing because it's legally, there was no hack, there was no leak. It was the Freedom of Information Act. Look it up. BuzzFeed, Washington Post, that's how they got them. On the other hand, it's like, a lot of people here have known a lot of this stuff for a long time because we've been doing our research, we've been doing the reporting, and we've been doing the stories and angles that they covered up for a year that now all of a sudden they want to act like they broke and that's fine. I don't need credit or anything. I'm not breaking, news or anything, but I mean, this information has been out for so long about what he said about this, what he said about that, how he flip-flopped, and how, science and health also means working out, eating healthy, having access to gyms, having a life, having purpose. When you take away someone's job, you take away their purpose sometimes. And if you don't have purpose, you think this didn't negatively affect health? You think masks and lockdowns didn't negatively affect health because you hate Trump or because you're a Republican or because you don't want to seem like an anti-masker? You've lost your mind, hopefully not your soul, because at a certain point, it's like, guys, we're hurting ourselves. We're hurting each other. And, we need to wake up and never do this again because this is promising to see that finally this story's in the news because, nobody's perfect. I pray for everyone. But, the amount of wickedness and the amount of deception and the amount of lockdowns and hurting and suffering that they've pushed, what I believe was not for our best interest, but more for profits, power, and more control over society. It's promising to see that it's a mainstream story in America, and that there looks like there could be enough people to care to do something about it. And when enough good people step up, hold their ground, and play their role, whatever it is, even if it's on a small scale, getting more fit yourself, getting healthier, that's when we win. It's not looking for a leader in Trump or Biden or everyone's got to play their role on a small scale, on a big scale, and sometimes that's as simple as just improving yourself. But that's my thoughts. Dry and low said fasting helps a lot. Once again, I'm not a medical advisor. I'm not a health advisor, but I've fasted. I've done 24-hour fasts, and a lot of times I do 24-hour fasts. I don't eat breakfast usually personally, but that's just a me thing. I get tired when I eat, so I try to drink coffee. I don't know how good that is, but I do a lot of intermittent fasting personally. But to each their own. Whatever works for you. I want the freedom to be able to do what I want to do as opposed to sit in my house and wait for Dr. Fauci to tell me when I should get injected. I'd rather personally go to the gym and decide for myself what I want to do with my medicine routine, but to each their own. Someone said you need your own TV show. If I was rich, you'd have a great show because people want the truth. I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn. First of all, we have 2,400 people on Facebook. Thank you so much. We have over 1,000 people on YouTube, so almost 4,000 people total. I'm grateful. I mean, my streams get hundreds of thousands of views between Facebook, YouTube, and BitChute. So I'm grateful to have that big of an audience on here. But listen, there's news things that have reached out to me who said, Anomaly, we're thinking about getting you a segment, this and that. And, I don't know how serious they're taking it, but I'm not trying to toot my own horn. If they give me a show, look at the numbers. I got 600 million views. I'm outperforming all of these news hosts, and I don't even have a television. You give me a television show, I'm going to write my own theme song, like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have segments like this, higher quality. We're going for the number one show on television, and I don't need that much attention, but it's like, they look at me like maybe this, I'm like, you give me a show, it's going to be big. If not, it's okay. I'll do my own thing. I don't mind. I like my own thing, but it's like, business wise, I'm just letting people know. It's like, work with the kid and we can make big moves. You want to play around? I'm going to just keep doing my thing on here, and what's meant to be will be. But, it could work, but at the same time, I do like my freedom, and I like the ability to not have to deal with, corporations and this and that and editing teams. I like that, but it's all good. Someone said, do a podcast with a video. They say if it's not broke, don't fix it. So on one hand, I think it would be smart to do a podcast and get better cameras, which I'm thinking about. I just got to find the right camera. But at the same time, it's like, I go live on Facebook, I can get 70,000 views. I go live on YouTube, I get 20, 30. I'm getting over 100,000 views every live stream. It's like a podcast. And then when I do videos, I'll get 70, 80, 100,000 on Facebook, 200, 300. I have some videos with 1 million views on Instagram. Now my Instagram, every video is getting 200, 300, 400,000 views. So on one hand, I want to try something new. On the other hand, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm still getting millions of views a week, millions of views a week on Instagram, millions of views a week on Facebook, a bit on YouTube. So I do want to do something new, but I don't want to change what I'm doing because I like the live streams, the long form. It's like a podcast. And then I like the short videos. They're 10 minutes. they're really getting through to a lot of people. A lot of very, successful, I would say famous people are starting to hit me up. They're seeing the videos. Like it's getting pretty big. So, I don't want to switch it up when I'm kind of in my zone. Short video, long video, you get it. That's what it is. Someone said, watch the show. I sat down with elders and they still can't explain why Jesus calls them hypocrites in the Bible. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'm going to read this real quick. Hold on. Sorry, my hand. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Hold on. Someone said, lost my job, career of 20 years as a licensed massage therapist and had my veteran boyfriend commit suicide because of isolation and depression. Well, God bless you. You're not alone. And that's the type of stuff that really motivates me. I'm sorry that happened to you. These stories are widespread. I mean, to be honest, I think there's more people who are being hurt badly and hurt, killed, than are being saved by all this stuff. I think they killed people. I think they hurt people. I think they destroyed millions upon millions of lives. And I don't think their mitigation tactics with masks and lockdowns really saved that many lives at all. And I think a lot of the data could show that if you're allowed to talk about it. But, that's why I'm so passionate, whether it's left-wing people telling me to shut up, whether it's right-wing people, don't criticize Trump, he's my idol. It's like, I don't care, because I'm not doing this just for myself. I'm doing this for my country. And there's millions of people that they don't really care at this point who did it, or it's like, this happened last year, it happened this year, and people want someone to say it. It's like, I'm just starting to see Republicans saying things I've been saying last year. They're like, oh, why not mandate workouts? I said that in March. I'm glad they're saying it. I hope more do, but it's like, that's a winning narrative. It's not like we did Operation Warp Speed, you did this, like Biden, AOC. It's like, no, create the narrative that lockdowns kill. This is a bad thing would happen. I don't care if Trump shut down travel anymore. I don't care if it's like, push the narrative. I mean, DeSantis is doing a pretty decent job, but a lot of these other characters, like, I don't, I'm creating my own narrative because I'm not playing in this. I hear stories like that and I read all my Instagram messages. People can't go to school, people losing their business, people losing their family members. It's like, I don't have time to wait and care what people say. Like, these are the stories that need to get out there, and I'll keep getting them out there. Someone said DeSantis is just Trump in his 2015 phrase. At this point, I don't have any blind faith, or really, I'm not going to say any faith, but as far as politicians, people ask me about DeSantis, Trump, Elon Musk, whoever, they are who they are. I'm not expecting them to reinvent the wheel. I'm over it. I'm focused on what I'm doing. I'm focused on what people are doing. I think that's a big flaw in politics. Like, people love to love Trump. People love to hate Trump. It's all good, but they've got us distracted by this circus of characters. And like, to be honest, I don't think any of these people really care that much. I hate to say it, but now, like, when you don't, and I don't care what religion you are, or whatever, but I think if they can take your eyes off God or take your eyes off the bigger picture, whatever your beliefs are, they get you idolizing humans. They get you idolizing politicians. And it becomes this show where people are like, DeSantis is going to save the world. It's like, if he runs and he's the best candidate, hopefully he wins, but is he going to save your whole, like, don't get in this phase of like worshiping him like Trump and then following him. And then if he changes tune, then you go off a cliff with him. I would love to see people just be like, I like him, but I don't know what he's going to do. I'll play it ear by ear. I don't like that. I do like that. I like that he did that. I don't like that. So let's not go back to the whole idol thing, because I think that's really destroyed the left, their whole identity. I hate Trump. I hate Republicans. What do you like? Like, these people are becoming gross to me. Not everyone. There's good liberals out there, but like, honestly, liberal culture, politics, I mean, Boeing and Raytheon, it's like, oh, look at my rainbow flag for Pride Month. It's like, who cares? Like, find me 5 companies that don't have the rainbow flag. Like, that's revolutionary, not putting it up. But you go to the right, it's just a sick game. So they got everybody loving, hating them. And I feel like they're all just playing this like a fiddle. So, I would love to see people just be grateful for people, be kind, as nice as you could be. But at the same time, stop idolizing these political figures, because it's all a big show. I mean, and they're playing a role. And just to get there, you got to make compromises. I think, it's not an easy job, and I wouldn't want to do it, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. I think if everybody holds it down for themselves, creates their own narrative, or at least, figure something out on their own, doing their own thing. On Instagram Live, I love doing Instagram Lives. I'm hearing so many people hit me up and they keep saying, Anomaly, I lost 100 pounds because I listened to you. I stopped taking, I'm not diabetic anymore because I've been listening to you. And I didn't even know I'm having that impact, but it's because I don't just sit here and ride Trump's coattails. I don't just sit here and hate on Trump. I don't just sit here and hate on Democrats. I don't just say build a wall. No disrespect to anyone else, but this whole pandemic, it's been bigger than that. It's like, focus on yourself. It's not the fact that I don't trust anything that the pharmacy industry does, but at the same time, I just see what's going on. And I'm like, I don't think they care about diet and exercise, which is a huge part. That's like all health. I don't understand how you could be a healthy person without knowing about, at least understanding how diet and exercise plays a role in that. So, it's conversations like that I love hearing. People like, I lost a lot of weight. I'm like, I love that, because that's something that it's like, you're not just running in circles around Trump or me or DeSantis or AOC. It's like, you're like, okay, maybe I should do this. And that's what I try to do myself. Like, I've gotten stronger. I still want to get stronger. I want to get faster, too fast for the gulag. You guys get it. Let's see. Someone said they need to crash the economy. Yeah, the lockdown was sick. But I'm going to try to see the stars real quick. Did I see the TikTok, the abortion TikTok? Yeah, it was disturbing. I mean, some of these people are really disturbed. If your identity is hating conservatives, you're going to turn into like a wicked person. And to be honest, if you just hate liberals, eventually you're going to turn into what you hate. Hating too much is like anger and focusing on something you don't like, giving it too much energy. Yeah, the liberals on TikTok are just weirdos. Not all of them, but Steve said they will only be able to take it as far as we let them. If everyone got fed up and said enough, that would stop. I agree. Jake said, touch on the gain of function evidence from Newsweek and then Fauci denying it during a congressional hearing, said Jake. Well, yeah, there's a Newsweek article from April 29th or April 30th of 2020 where they talk about gain of function research. Actually, I'm not saying who was involved, but here's just the Wikipedia example. Gain of function research is a term used to describe any field of medical research which alters an organism or disease in a way that increases pathogenesis, transmissibility, or host range. So in layman's terms, gain of function research is when you take a virus that probably can't transmit into humans and make it more transmittable. That's what they were doing in the Wuhan lab. And Newsweek, not me, Newsweek claims that Dr. Fauci's NIAID or whatever his government agency was funding that lab. And in that lab, they were doing gain of function research. So Dr. Rand Paul questioned him on it. Fauci said, I wasn't doing that. I think later at some point they said, well, there was money going there, but we're not quite sure where they were using it. So, he's in hot water for multiple reasons. And I don't know what he did or didn't do or what he did or didn't fund, but gain of function research, if you look into what other virologists say, it's not settled science. There are plenty of, if I got the Newsweek article, you could find 3 or 4 of the biggest virologists and epidemiologists saying gain of function research is very dangerous. Why? Because you're taking a virus that isn't that transmittable to humans or isn't that transmittable at all to humans and making it way more dangerous, way more contagious. Why would you do that? A lot, and this is not my opinion. Lots of top virologists say, why would you do that? Why would you fund that? Why would you do that? And Fauci, I don't know if he did or not, but he said on record, like, he's for it. That's a statement that you could find on public things. So a lot of people disagreed with him on that. I personally completely disagree. I think it's like playing Frankenstein. Let's make the virus stronger to see if we could find a vaccine cure. And, one thing leads to the next thing. you might create something that gets out of control. And you know what? With all the cover-ups and all the you can't say that and all the anomaly, we're going to take away your money for a month and all the, we're going to cut your reach. I mean, I was getting millions of views on my videos, and all of a sudden one day it's like demonetized. I can't even reach 1,000 people. And now it's like, oh, actually, the thing that we did to you, actually, you can start talking about it now. Maybe it's because the story got too big now. It's not up to me. I can't tell you everything, but they're starting to talk about it, because when it's all said and done, I think people are going to find out that, the chances of it coming from a bat in a random wet market where people eat all the time and are still eating is probably a lot less likely than the fact that it could have come from the Wuhan Institute of Virology from gain of function research that they were doing there, which was taking back coronaviruses that couldn't transmit into humans and manipulating them so they could transmit into humans. And that's what gain of function research is. So it's very interesting, and it's been a story, like you said, for over a year. Newsweek put this out, not Rand Paul, and I'm not knocking Rand Paul. I'm just saying it wasn't Alex Jones, it wasn't Breitbart, it wasn't Fox News. It was left-wing news organization Newsweek who put this whole story out. If you Google Fauci gain of function research Newsweek, you can read the whole article. It's probably one of the best articles of 2020. I mean, I'm not a fan of Newsweek, but that's one of the best articles I've read from any news organization, left or right. That specific article is very to the point, very well researched, and it's paragraph after paragraph of gem. I did a whole video on it. If you don't feel like reading it, you can find my video where I just pretty much read it aloud. It's like a public read aloud. Someone said Ben Swan broke that story a year ago. Yeah, so did I, because it was out in April. I think it was April 28th or 29th or 30th. Maybe April 27th. This information was posted on some of the biggest news websites in the world. So I'm guessing Ben Swan probably saw it like I did and was like, yeah, I should probably talk about this. But these are the games that they play. Ben Swan's he's a good journalist, though. He really does good work from what I've seen. I haven't seen him recently, but every video I've seen of his, he seems like he's a straight shooter. Do I endorse InfoWars? I would say no. I'm not a hater, but I don't work for them, so I'm not endorsing. Like, they're huge news organization with like 7 hosts. So if I were to endorse them, what does that mean? I agree with everything that they say, and I think that it's great. I mean, I think sometimes they say a lot of real stuff on there. I think sometimes they get carried away and say stuff that I don't agree with. So I don't know that I would endorse them in the same way I wouldn't endorse Fox News or anything. Like, I'm not a public puppet to be like paid off or something. Like, I endorse Fox News. No, I like Tucker Carlson, but as for the rest of the news organization, there's okay stuff, there's lame stuff. I mean, I'm not a hater. I don't hate them, but I'm not going to sit here and endorse them. I don't know what that means. I do my research. What I do, I endorse. If there's certain people I really, really love and I really watch all the time, I'll say it. As far as InfoWars, I don't watch them that much. I can't tell you the last time maybe I tuned in to watch the Nick Fuentes and Robert Barnes debate over Israel. That's the last time I really watched it. And no disrespect, I have people I like that work there, and what's his name? Harrison Smith has been nice to me. Owen Schroyer's been nice to me, but I'm not going to endorse them. I don't know what that really means. Someone said, who slept with the bat? LOL. Yeah, I know. It reminds me of like the South Park where it's like with the Mickey Mouse. Holly said, too bad they didn't use their resources for good. Yeah. Someone said they're turning the frogs gay. Well, I mean, you could Google that. Frogs turning gay atrazine. Like, that's a real study and story somewhere. But how do I find your gain of function video? I don't know. I mean, maybe on YouTube you could search. It's hard because YouTube and Facebook shadow ban my videos. Sometimes they permanently delete them, but they make it really hard to find in the Google search. You know, it's very difficult to find. Someone was talking about Fauci and Pfizer. I don't know about that, so I can't speak on it. I only speak on what I know. But I will read this. It's an Axios article. It says the NIH, which is the National Institute of Health, claims joint ownership of Moderna's coronavirus vaccine. So you can't tell me that there's not political and financial incentive when your agency or an agency that you're close to owns a piece of the Moderna vaccine. Bill Gates has been invested in Moderna for years. The National Institute of Health has part ownership over Moderna. So I mean, there is no conspiracy theory. It's like, this is just how the world works. Like, you think Wonder Bread doesn't want to make a lot of sales? What if Wonder Bread finds out that their product's actually hurting people? It's not good quality bread and it's making people fatter and more inflamed. Do you think Wonder Bread is going to say, you know what? We're not really a healthy product. Let's shut down and let's let other products take over, like more natural bread. No, they're going to try to make as many sales as they possibly can. I think this is how the world works. There's thousands of companies that promote products that suck. They know that they suck. They know that they're not as good as other products, but they have financial incentive to make a sale. They have financial incentive to push their product to the forefront, no matter how good it is for you or not. I think that's, the part of free market capitalism and whatever this is, like socialist capitalism. That's the part of it that can kind of suck. But at the same time, it's up to us, I think. Like, food started getting better when people started realizing that the food sucked. In the 90s to 2000s, I would say the food market was pretty bad. It was easy, convenient, microwavable, Fruity Pebbles. And then once the 2000s and 2010s hit, you saw a big push for organic food. You saw a big push for hummus and other things. So I think, you can't blame anybody. It's all up to us. If you don't eat it, they won't sell it. So on one hand, advertisers are lying to you. Politicians are lying to you. The pharmacy industry is lying to you. The food industry is lying to you. But on their, I don't know, in their defense is the right word, but it's up to us to realize it. I know in a better society, we wouldn't just have a bunch of liars trying to sell us shitty products, but unfortunately, that's where we live. So it's up to us to pay attention and be like, you know what? I'm not going to be naive. I'm not going to be foolish. I'm not just going to blindly hate companies, but it's on you. Like, if you can't figure out that, certain, like, Burger King is not as healthy as like an organic bison burger or something, like, that's it's kind of on you at a certain point, like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I think that's pretty true. All right, I'll answer a few more questions and then I'm going to roll out. Someone said prophetic times we are living. I'll try to be inspirational today, but in times of chaos, there's a lot of opportunity to grow and to take control of things. So, a lot of people saw this, like, say, this pandemic. I was positioned well, I think, because of digital media and such, but there was not a lot of people on the right or the left or on the TV. There's not a lot of people saying what I wanted to be said, but I didn't just complain about it. I didn't just get mad about it. I decided to create what I didn't see. So, I think it was Gandhi who said, be the change you want to see in the world. I'm sure a lot of people said that, but I think that's true to a certain extent, where it's like, if you don't see it happening, you can then fill that void. And that's what I've tried to do in media. I don't like media. I don't like, people say run for office. I don't want to. I don't like media. Like, my passion for despising the mainstream media turned into a full-time career by mistake because, I was like, I can't listen to this stuff. I don't want to listen to the news. The news sucks. And no disrespect to Fox or CNN, but in my opinion, they're both too negative. They're both too negative. And then they sell the same crappy commercials in the commercials. It's like the commercials on TV suck. It doesn't matter what you're watching. It's so bad. It's like a parody of, like, the worst thing I'm thinking worse. And it's real. So it's like, I hate television, but that's the inspiration. Is like, whatever you don't see, don't get too angry. Don't get too mad. Don't get too upset. Figure out how you can counter it in your personal life and your professional life. Fill the void of what you don't see and it'll start to grow and it'll start to flourish and you'll inspire others. And, I'm sure it gives your life purpose as well. So I think even if it's on a small scale or a personal scale, whether it's a fitness journey or whatever, a job, a business, I think, this pandemic was terrible for a lot of people. But also if you let it, it can inspire you. And that's why I made the song Way Too Jacked for the Gulag. I was getting out of shape. I was getting more out of shape than I've ever been. So I didn't just make the song to brag about how strong I was. I kind of made it as a challenge to myself, because I thought to myself, if I make this song about being strong and I'm not at least a little bit strong, it's a clowny move. If I have no muscles and I'm making a song about having muscles, it's kind of stupid. So I was challenging myself to be like, here, if I make this song, I'm going to work out a lot because I don't want to be an idiot. I think, I needed to do that because I was like, man, the lockdowns are taking away my gym. The lockdowns are taking away this. And it's like, yeah, but I'm not going to let them win. I'm not going to let them take away my health. So I'm going to go figure out another way to get healthy. So that's the vibes that we got to have. It's like, we can complain, we can talk about stuff, but at the same time, what are you grateful for? What can you do? And overall, it could have been much worse. Someone said, I'm glad we have you, Anomaly. You didn't fall for the BS. Well, thank you, Free to Chill. I definitely was skeptical when it came out, and I knew that if they were going to lock the country down, they should probably mandate workouts or whatever. But, I think I've always been very skeptical of the pharmacy industry, not for any other reason besides I could identify pretty young that, are like, I don't know, something about the food and all the drugs. Like I felt like they were just factory farming us and, no one was paying attention. So I think it was that history outside of politics that, gave me more of like a skepticism of it. I've never, I've always kind of been interested in like how they're overprescribing and just giving us crappy products all the time. A lot of these diseases and stuff that pop up, I don't know where they come from. I'm not going to make a claim, but how many times do they sell you a product and then it's recalled? I mean, they told everybody to do hand sanitizer. I barely used any hand sanitizer. I'm a clean person. I wash my hands, but I've always kind of thought to myself that over sanitizing your hands is actually bad. If you do it sometimes, it's fine. But if you sanitize too much, it's not good. And then months later, after that, everyone's sanitizing 5 times a day. They do a recall on a bunch of hand sanitizers because they cause cancer, carcinogen causing chemicals. And it's the same with sunscreen. I like sunscreen, but I Googled which one won't give me a disease because, on one hand, I don't want to get burnt. That's bad for your skin and can cause diseases. On another hand, if you put a crappy product on your face all the time in your skin, that can also hurt you. So it's important to, I think, find a good product. Although at this point, there's so much stuff going on that if you have a healthy mind, I think you could power through it. But, they're trying to recall, or they're asking for them to recall certain sunscreens now. So, I've kind of, it's not even like I know that much because I didn't fall for it. At this point, if you watch TV, every commercial is a recall. Every commercial is like suing this guy, suing that. Did you get the lawyer? Get the Bernstein brothers and, get the, Johnson and Johnson. It's like every commercial's like that. How in the world can you watch television and not be a little bit skeptical? Did you do this? You might have asbestos. Did you do this? You might have this. The side effects are this, 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 and this. This is this. This is this. Did you take this? We told you to take this 5 years ago. Did you take it? You could sue that person. You could sue for mesothelioma. That's the whole television. No, it's hard to find any commercials anymore that aren't some sort of pill commercial with side effects or some commercial suing the pill commercial for the thing that they didn't tell you that it did, that they figured out it did 6 years ago. So I'm not some sort of super wizard with a time machine. I just pay attention, and I'm not easily swayed by media and politicians, I think, I'm no genius. I think I've made a lot of mistakes politically in my life, but this stuff to me is just so common sense. I don't understand how it's even a political issue at all. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, like just watch the TV. It doesn't matter if you watch CNN or Fox, they're always making a sale. They're always telling you to sue somebody for a product that they once told you is safe. Is that not? Someone said the tinfoil hats for the win. It's sad that, what is a tinfoil hat now? If you want to breathe air, you conspiracy theorists think that they're going to put masks on everyone's face. And then a year later, they're like, you conspiracy theorists think you should just go eat dinner wherever you want. And it's like, You flipped roles with the conspiracy theorists. 2 years ago, conspiracy theorists are saying Walmart's going to do mandatory injections and blah. And like everyone's like, dude, you're a lunatic. Like Walmart would never do mandatory injections. They would never shut the country down. Are you kidding me? This is America. It's a free country. And then they do all of it. And the same people that said that they were against conspiracy theories, every theory that people were talking about happened. And they're like, no, I mean, the real conspiracy theory is going to Thanksgiving dinner. And it's like, first of all, I can't even hear you because you have a mask on your face. But second of all, you look like the conspiracy theorist. Like you've replaced a tinfoil hat with a cloth mask on your face. And now I'm just trying to like work out. They're like, these right-wing conspiracy theorist supremacists, I mean, with their workout plans and their diet routines, like they've wrote literal articles saying right-wing, far right-wing, like gym bros, like the enemy of the left winger now is like gym bros who are just jacked. And then like women who are like healthy. They're like, it's really growing on the right wing. I wonder why working out is growing on the right wing, because we don't hate the country and we don't hate ourselves. So at a certain point, if you don't hate the country and you don't hate yourself, you're going to be conservative because you don't want the cities to go to trash. You don't hate all the business owners who you live around. You don't just bash windows and make excuses for it. You defend the people who are defending them from bashing the windows, you know? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, the right wing is, you know, bubbling over with gym bros and workout women, because if you don't hate yourself at a certain point, you have the idea of like, maybe I could change something in my life and do something better, as opposed to, did you see my new tattoo? I just got the Pfizer tattoo. Are you team Pfizer or team Moderna? It's like, if you get the vaccine, that's fine. But if it's like if you have a tattoo, if it's on your, you know, Instagram profile or Tinder profile, I'm team Pfizer. It's like your identity went from hating Trump to like loving Pfizer. It's just like a weird vibe. Like, you know, I've taken products from Johnson & Johnson before, but I'm not like team Johnson & Johnson. All I do is just rub baby powder on my arm. It's like, what? Oh, dude, I'm team peanut butter, dude. I just eat peanut butter all the time, like organic. I'm team banana. I love banana. It's like, okay. I mean, I like pineapples on pizza is funny, but like your whole life revolves around hating Trump or getting a mRNA shot. Like that's your like profile now. You're like, you know, but I at the same time as I can make fun of it, I feel bad because the government and the media took away people's purpose. Like, you know, you read a Jordan Peterson book or whoever, Eckhart Tolle, a lot of it's about purpose, you know, and it's true. If you don't have a job, this gives me purpose. I mean, I live a sad life. No, I'm just kidding. But if I didn't work at all, say I made so much money that I didn't even have to work and I decided I didn't want to work, I would be more depressed than ever. Unless I had a schedule, I was playing sports and traveling. You know, if I didn't have purpose, you know, you need some sort of job, you know, you can't just do nothing all the time. So they took away people's purpose, and then they gave them George Floyd. They gave them a vaccine and told you this is your purpose now, not the job that we took away. You're the mask guy. You're the vax guy. You know, they stole people's purpose, and then they put them in these activist groups and tell them that that's their new purpose now. So it's actually sad. It's funny, but it's also kind of sad. Jack Richardson said the only team we need to be is Team Godzilla. I don't have a big stance. Godzilla, King Kong. Like, on one hand, you know, I think I like King Kong better. I don't know why. That just came to me. I don't know. Godzilla seems a little scarier. So, you know, get him out of the way, and then we could deal with Godzilla or King Kong. I don't know. It's up to you. Is that the thing? Godzilla, King Kong? I'm so bad with movies. I apologize. All right. We'll read a few more. Someone said King Kong was just misunderstood. For sure. He was just looking for a cloud. He's just, you know, he's just trying to find a cloud. Everyone's like, he's like just so big. He's like, what's the deal? I'm just trying to find my friend. I don't know. I could be funnier. It's okay. Someone said, bro, they're blocking the notification to this video right now. Yeah, they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like, I get it. Do you know, it's kind of creepy. Like, I know that at this point, my page is so big on Facebook, that they probably talk about me in meetings. I'm not going to say for sure I know this, but I'm sure they say, what are we going to do about Anomaly? He's top 10 again. What are we going to do about Anomaly? He just beat, New York Times. So I guarantee they're figuring out all these ways to undermine me. And on YouTube, if you try to find my videos, you can search Anomaly and Fauci. You're not going to find it. You have to go to my page, and then you have to search in my page, and then it might be 20 down. They've changed all the algorithms. They used to do the algorithm based on the title. I'm too good with computers for these people to fool me, but the title bar means more than the keyword. So if it's in the title and you put the name in the title, I used to come up first. Anomaly, Fauci, my video. Now they've rigged the algorithm on Google and YouTube where they call it, top news or whoever they want to be there. So they have a whole section at the top, which now prioritizes all these fraudulent news agencies that they are friends with, to get their video at the top, despite having no keywords or title bars that I even searched for. So they've made their algorithm purposely worse to lure you to mainstream media and approved sources. And I'm certainly not approved. So they've rigged the algorithm completely on Google, and it's almost impossible to find the video that you're looking for. As far as Facebook, what they're doing, I have the statistics. When I was getting 8 million views a week, I mean, I'm grateful that it lasted this long. I'm actually shocked, but they were suggesting my videos to other people. So a lot of it wasn't just coming from shares. I was getting hundreds of thousands of shares on my videos. That's a big part of it. You guys are a big part of it. But a lot of it was suggested searches. Like if you watch my video, they'll send you to a Ben Shapiro video. Why? Because Ben Shapiro, apparently, according to news reports, had a meeting with Zuckerberg. So they approved Ben Shapiro because he'll tell you that, the injection, your kids should probably get it. And it's okay if they can't go to school without certain injections. So he's approved. You can go watch his video because he's going to tell you what they want. And I'm not, there's some people on there, but I was taken out of the suggested searches. So now on Facebook, almost everything I'm doing is organic. They're not going to suggest me ever. So not only do they make it harder for people to see me on my own page, now they make it almost impossible for other people to find me on other pages. And they have all these little tricks to undermine what you're doing. And, I get it, but it's all good. Whatever. Now I used to get 1 million views. Now I get 100,000, 200,000, whatever. I hope they feel sad. It's like they're trying so hard. And this is why they got so mad when I was number one. They've tried so hard to rig my page, and I'm still beating them. I could still get 30,000 shares on a news article, and they can't even get 5,000. So it's like, no matter, I feel like David and Goliath, no matter how much they push back, you're not gonna, stop what I'm saying. It's gonna, I'm not just gonna roll over and let these people censor me. So I'm not crying about it. I'm still here, but I know what they're doing, and they know what they're doing, and they know that I know what they're doing. And they just keep doing it. That's fine. So shout out to my Facebook people who are like, man, what do we do about this guy? I mean, yeah, he shared a CNN article. And of course we like CNN, but when CNN shares a CNN article, that's okay. If Anomaly shares a CNN article about Johnson & Johnson, we're going to make 5 articles about him. And then they lied about me in the article. They're like, his caption was a lie. No, my caption was accurate. I was fact checking Jen Psaki, who lied. I could prove she lied. I made a video saying she lied. I have a video of that. So not that this is going to go to court, but if this did go to court and we had a fair court, they would say, okay, how did he lie? And they would be like, actually, I don't know how he lied because I'm a liar. And I would say, I have proof. I have video evidence. I have statistics. I have news articles. I have White House printouts. I have it all. You lied, I told the truth, and then you lied about me lying. So it's like eventually they back off because I keep calling them out. And I'm like, you got to stop doing this. But, to each their own. I got the receipts. I mean, I don't play around for a reason. I'm not just going to sit here and say things I don't understand. One, that's never what I did, but I'm extra careful now because I see the game that's going on. They're looking to censor people. They don't care if you tell the truth or not. They just want you to agree with them. They would rather you lie in favor of them than agree against them. No matter how, or you get what I'm saying? No matter if it's true or not. And I can't just blame Democrats and Facebook. Obviously, they're bad and they have a lot of power, but this is all of politics. If you're at a Trump rally, if I were to say a lie that went in favor of Trump, everybody would cheer. If I were to say something inconvenient that Trump did that was anti-constitutional, they would probably boo me or just be. So it's not just the Democrats. They have power, But I think it's kind of a bipartisan thing. If you're on Team Blue, they don't care if you tell the truth, just agree with them. And as far as Team Red, I think they're way more open to learning and evolving and changing. I think Team Red is doing a way better job, but it's the same kind of dynamic, I think, where people would rather you just agree with them than rock the boat, which I get. But I do find that Republicans and the right wing are definitely, they seem way more able to call out their own and definitely way more able to figure things out. The left, I don't know what they're doing anymore. I think their brains are so scrambled that it's time to just call it a day and go back to the drawing board. Cause I don't know what's going on in the left wing. Anything I used to like left wing, I could find on the right wing now. Every single thing that I enjoy, even rap music. I don't care what politics you have, but left-winger rappers are like, yo, I got my mask, like Eminem. I used to love Eminem. Yo, if you cough on me without a mask, it's like, dude, I'm not going to listen to a rap that sounds like it was ghostwritten by Anthony Fauci. No disrespect to Eminem. He's an inspiration of mine. It's just I'd rather listen to Bryson or Patriot J or Tom McDonald or any old music that doesn't rap about left-wing politics. So anything I used to love that's liberal, it's like they've turned me off so much. I love music concerts. I love watching, Queen. I don't know what his politics are, probably liberal, but I listen to Queen. He's a good musician. I mean, Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the greatest songs ever. I'm not going to listen to Vaccine Live, but with Selena Gomez and Jimmy Kimmel. It's like they've become so gross that I can't even listen to their music. They're like, we got this new song. It's about the vaccine. Who wants it? You're a kid. I'm like, this is not fun. It wouldn't even matter if I got the vaccine. I still wouldn't like what this is. This is not a fun music concert. They're like, shout out Moderna. They're like, can you say Moderna? They're like, Moderna. They're like, can you say Pfizer? They're like, Pfizer. They're like, who's at the top? And they're like, Bill Gates. Who's funding all of them? Bill Gates. Like, I'm like, yo, at least give me Freddie Mercury. I don't know what his politics are. His sexual life was questionable, but that boy could sing. Okay, Bohemian Rhapsody. You're lying to yourself if you say that's not one of the best songs. It doesn't matter what his politics are because he crushed it. I don't want to listen to Selena Gomez at Vax Live, but to each their own. And maybe that appeals to somebody. It's just not me, unfortunately. It does not appeal to me. Someone said Queen was totally awesome and the Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles are awesome. I mean, don't get me started with old rock. I love old rock, but at least it's just give me a product that works. I'll give you another example with the plane thing. They're like, we need 50% women and 50% people of color to fly the plane. And I'm thinking to myself, just get the guy who flies the plane the best. Freddie Mercury wasn't like, I'm gay, guys. That's why I get to be here. I'm the gay guy. I get to be here. If he did that, we would have been like, go home, Freddie Mercury. You're not good enough. But he didn't just say, I'm the gay guy. He just made really good music. And then he was like, I'm really gay too. And people were like, well, I don't agree with that. But I mean, we will rock you, slap. So, it's like he didn't use his gayness to get in the door. His music was really good. So it didn't matter what he was doing. He was probably just like, I'm not going to say it because there might be kids watching, but he was probably doing a lot of stuff. But everyone let him do it because he's really good. On that same note, you get what I'm saying? It's like, I don't care who flies the plane. I don't care if you're a raging homosexual. Just fly the goddamn plane. Excuse my language. Fly the plane and don't hurt anybody. But now they're like, we need these people to be here. Well, that doesn't sound like merit-based, and that sounds really dangerous. So you get what it's like every time I see a pilot, he looks like a pilot. It's always some white dude with orange hair that looks, I've never seen anybody like that in 5 years. Only pilots. And I'm not saying I care, but you get what I'm saying? A pilot looks like, he's like, hey, I'm the pilot. I'm like, I trust that guy. And he just looks like I'm not a pilot, but that guy's a pilot. He looks like he just came out of 1930s. He's like, hey, he's in black and white. It's literally everything's in color and the pilot's just in black and white. He looks like he's out of a Frank Sinatra music video. And you're just like, that guy's going to fly the plane good. If it was some other way, that's fine. But I don't think we need to diversify forced, Freddie Mercury didn't get there because he was gay. It was because he made good music. And I think that's, pretty universal to anything. It's like, there's a lot of Indians in tech. Well, maybe they're good at it and maybe they like it. So let Indian people do tech. If there's a lot of Asians in tech, Asians are doing really well. Oh, America beat China. You see the picture, America beat China for the first time. And it's a bunch of Chinese Americans. So it's like Chinese people are killing it with technology. I mean, that's great. I appreciate the Americans who won, but I'm not going to go in and be like, and this needs to be more diverse. Like, that's not how the world works. Just get better at technology. If you're white and you want to be on the tech team, get better. Don't use your color to get in or your sexuality. Just be better. And if you're not good, find something else you're good at. That's how the world works. It's like, they never talk about that, but it's like same with the NBA. It's like there's a lot of white people in the NBA now. Frank Campazzo, Nikola Jokic. I mean, the NBA is probably whiter now than it's been in a while just because all these European players are killing it. It wasn't their whiteness that got them in. They just started working their ass off and got good enough and tall enough to get in the NBA. It's like, who cares? If they're not good enough, it's time to go. I'm sorry for the rant, but I'm just thinking, I'm like, this thing that they're doing is going to backfire so tremendously. Someone said merit-based is boss. And if you want to help people and you want to help struggling communities, you have to get to the mindset. In a lot of these high crime areas, it's the mindset. You could spend $1 trillion in South Side of Chicago. It's not going to get safer unless you spend the money and the time and the resources into changing people's minds. And also, I think heavy law enforcement where in Chicago, it's like these streets are being overrun. So at a certain point, you got to get tough and you got to get smart. The left is weak and stupid. No offense, but weak and stupid. They do the opposite. That's why every city that they run, why are Asian people getting attacked? It's like, because the city's not safe anymore because you guys are weak and stupid. You're weak with the police. You're weak with everything else. And then you're stupid with the laws. You make it easier to be homeless. You make it easier to stay on that street. You make it easier to attack people. You make it easier to steal. So people are going to steal. You promote violence and rioting. So people now feel emboldened racially and activist wise to do it. So in Chicago, it's like, if you really want to help communities, don't tell them that 50% of them can fly a plane. Doesn't even make sense. It's not going to help them. Tell them, we'll give you the resources, but have a no tolerance policy. I'm not talking about jail time, but a no tolerance policy where it's like these streets are not going to be violent anymore. We're not going to allow it. It's not going to happen. It's like drawing a line in the sand. There is no line in the sand. The line in the sand is non-existent. They actually incentivize people to step over the line. They're like, you could do this to 100 kids and we'll never talk about it unless we have a racial angle to it. It's like, it's so wicked what the left is doing in this country to race, to homelessness, to poverty. I mean, I think we're in for a rude awakening in the next 5 or 10 years as things shift. I'm noticing liberal cities are getting way worse. Nice areas like Santa Monica are getting worse. Nice areas like Beverly Hills are getting worse. New York City is getting worse. And I think even in the conservative areas are getting worse because as the liberal cities get worse, it grows out and it expands. And then people take advantage of nicer areas because no one wants to be in LA anymore. So then they go here and then this gets slightly worse and this gets slightly worse. And especially if, the price point is pretty low, then people move in. But also, even if the price point is high, you have millionaire rappers who are shooting each other at like the most expensive areas of Miami Beach or Miami. It's like, it's a cultural issue. It's a lot of things, but our country is like, I think we're in for a rude awakening unless people get smarter. And whether they do or not, I think, a lot of things that we wanted to talk about years ago, if you notice, people tell you in 2018, don't talk about the speech bills. Don't talk about demographics and crime statistics. Don't talk about Israel. Don't talk about Fauci. Don't talk about Bill Gates. Don't talk about gain of function research. They say that, and eventually it becomes a mainstream point because the truth is like a pillar. It doesn't matter if right-wingers don't want to talk about it. It doesn't matter if left-wingers don't want. If it's true, it's real. If it's real, it's going to happen anyway. It's like, with demographics and immigration and birth rates, it's not hate speech. It's math. It's statistics. It's a debatable conversation about what happens in 15 years. But a lot of it's also a math equation and a science equation where whether the right wing wants to talk about it or not, they're going to be forced to talk about it in 10 years because there is going to be no other conversation to be had. It's like with the lockdowns. Like, yeah, people are going to have to talk about it at a certain point. So, I try to stick to things. I try not to be mean. I try not to be hateful. I try to love everybody for, being good. But, there's certain conversations that most people wouldn't say. I feel comfortable saying them because I'm not mean about it. I'm not hateful. But whether it wants to be a conversation or not, it's going to be because it's going to happen anyway. So I think that stuff I'm talking about is inevitable as far as like seeing what's happening to the cities, seeing the fallouts in nicer areas combined with technology, all sorts of stuff where people are getting more spread out with what they're doing, with crime, with, targeted stuff. So it's a conversation that people are going to have eventually. Wayne said the hippie makes sense. I'm not that much of a hippie, bro. I just have long hair and I enjoy long walks on the beach and, but I appreciate the compliment. You can call me a hippie. I don't mind. All right. One more comment, one more question, and I'm going to roll out. I'm going to read this real quick. We'll end on this note. Patrick said leftist ideology, hate each other and hate America. That kind of thinking will take our country down. Yeah, I think like from a psychological angle, if you don't love yourself, I mean, you shouldn't be an egomaniac, like a narcissist, but like you can't hate yourself. You have to forgive your parents. You have to love your parents. You have to, forgive the people who created you, your parents. And also you have to appreciate yourself. If you don't appreciate yourself, no one else will. Forgive yourself, love yourself, come to terms with things you've done and try to move forward. That's all you can do. So once you do that, if you don't hate yourself, you're going to stop people from being mean to you. If you're being mean to yourself, you're going to allow others to enter that sphere. So, I've always been a hippie, I guess, to some extent, because I feel like I was always a nice soul. But I hated the country. I thought America was so wicked. And in many ways, I still think that we are. I still think that corporations and our government is actually wicked. So I don't even disagree with myself, but I didn't realize what I was grateful for. I could point out what's wicked in America, but I never realized the special things that America gave me. And since I didn't realize what I should be grateful for in America, I'm losing it and we're losing it, so it's okay to be critical of America, but when you're not grateful, when you're not appreciative, when you don't love yourself, when you don't love your country, you allow bad actors to take advantage of it. So if you don't love your country, who cares if Fauci shuts down your country? Who cares if the currency, who cares if this happens? Good. You're probably cheering it on or you don't care because it's the same as being like a heroin addict where at a certain point, you're just in the mindset, you just don't care anymore. You're like, whatever happens, happens. I'm out of it right now. I'm down and out. So they prey on the left. It's not like coming from a position of strength all the time, like I'm righteous. There's some righteous left-wingers, but a lot of it is taking advantage of people who don't love and appreciate themselves and don't love and appreciate the country. So I didn't realize what was great about the country. And everything that I now realize, I still believe that the things that are bad, but the things that are great about the country that I realize, I'm realizing that we're losing them. We're losing our First Amendment. In China, if you criticize the government, you have to leave. In America, people are like, you should be scared. You should be scared. I mean, it's everything scary, but at the same time, it's way scarier to be in China and talk trash about the government. They don't allow it. We still allow it in America. You might get censored. You might lose your job. It's getting pretty bad here, but it's not as bad as China and it's not as bad as other countries. So if you don't appreciate and use your First Amendment right, you lose your First Amendment right. And liberals don't care about the First Amendment. The conservatives care about the First Amendment. So I realized that everything that I hated in America, I never appreciated it. And once I realized what was good about it and what I should be appreciative, I realized that the ones who are taking it away and the ones who are pushing to destroy it is the left for the most part. Sometimes it's the right because they get fooled and they do dumb stuff, but the right is the only thing standing in the way of us being UK or Canada, where we could be locked down for 5 years and no one does anything about it. So, it's deeper than just left or right or red or blue or you're racist and, you don't do this. It's like, it's a psychological thing where if you don't appreciate and love yourself and appreciate and love your country from a non-egotistical psycho perspective, but from a, I see the downfalls, but I'm also grateful for this. Our government, the media, foreign actors, whoever, domestic actors, they will steal it all from you. And that's that's life. What you don't appreciate, you could lose. If you don't appreciate a person, or, that's the cycle of life. So we'll end on that note. And I hope that, this chat was somewhat positive and optimistic, but that's my take on the Fauci emails. Once again, rest in peace, David Dorn, a great man. And, he died a year ago today. And I'm not just doing this to virtue signal or fight the left. I really, I think his story was powerful. A 77-year-old police captain who died defending a pawn shop when he was retired. And he just went to help out his community. And it's people like David Dorn, regardless of your skin color, that make the community a better place. Somebody that would stand up for their neighbor despite having no financial incentive to do so, risking their lives to make their community better. That's the type of stuff you don't see anymore. And when you see that, unfortunately, it's the type of stuff that only conservatives seem to care about, and liberals don't care about anymore. It's like, they'd rather glorify someone who wasn't a good person. They'd rather glorify a whole culture that's making people want to grow up and think that doing all this wicked stuff is a good idea. Pump that culture into the minds of the kids, ignore thousands of kids getting murdered on the streets of these areas because there's no racial or Republican, angle to it. And, it's people like David Dorn who'd make our country better. Unfortunately, it's become like a partisan issue where, it seems to be only conservatives who get that. And I really do think it roots from, if you don't appreciate and are grateful for what is good in your country among the bad, you're bound to lose it. So hopefully enough people step up. And I'm optimistic. I think this week has been good. And like with today's story, I think at a certain point, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than Fauci. It's God's plan. And whichever way the chips fall, whether it gets better or worse, I find solace and I feel good knowing that, I'm doing what I can, but I also try not to stress out. I try not to get scared, because at the end of the day, I can do what I can do. You can do what you can do. But if you can't do everything, which no one can, you have to find peace with that and move step by step. It's all a process. It's all a journey. Don't beat yourself over the head with bad news. Don't beat yourself over the head with bad. Of course, there's wicked things going on and wicked people. There's also great things and great people. And that duality of like yin and yang will probably always exist on this earth. So, whether it gets better or worse, all you can really do is try to find peace and enjoy yourself. Because that's, unfortunately, there's no other option. It's like, can you do something about it? Then do what you can. If you can't, you gotta just enjoy yourself while you're here. So have a good day. God bless you guys. And as always, just a few links. Stayintouchwithme.com is my free email list. Stayintouchwithme.com. It's the least annoying email list ever because I barely use it because I think emails are annoying. So stayintouchwithme.com. You won't get email every day or every week. I would say maybe once or twice a month max. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or dreamrarechat, anomaly dreamrarechat. You can find me on Telegram. And also the hats, if you like them, they're at godblesshats.com, godblesshats.com, or dreamrare.com. My Instagram's dreamrare, and the website is dreamrare.com. And I thought godblesshats.com was a good domain to pick up, so it goes to that website. So hats, shirts, we're doing more stuff soon. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it, and I'll be back soon. Probably more live streams this week because it's easier than editing right now for me. So have a good one, guys. Take care and enjoy your week.